And on the surface, it doesn't, seem like much, but people use crystals because they believe that crystals have, healing powers against all. Hey, this is Josh, and you are locked into another episode of the Emily You podcast. And when we do this show, we don't always watch movies that we can pull a very big like spiritual theme from. It is possible that we just don't. And I want to bring my wife Rebecca in. Yeah, we should just all both be on screen, at all times when we do this.
We're both important.
Yeah, we are important. Um, but we we say that we make redundant analogies weekly. Sometimes it'll happen. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes we're just gonna have the discussion.
Well, that's
Like,
our goal anyway.
yeah, it is our goal. And sometimes we hit it. Sometimes we don't.
I mean, our faith is a part of every single aspect of our lives. And sometimes it's, I don't know, even more present or easy to just come out in whatever it is that we're talking about. And sometimes it's a little harder. And that's okay. I don't know. Life is full of seasons. There's dry spells and very very lots of growth, lots of, springtime, which is coming up here soon. Um, so it just depends. I mean, we'll always keep you guessing.
Yeah, that's our goal. Keep you guessing. No, no, not really. Again, we do this as a ministry to bring you hope, encouragement, and a little entertainment.
Yes, I want to apologize up front. I'm feeling a little slap happy right now. Mostly just because I don't know, actually. I don't know why. It just happens sometimes where I'm like, I'm extra silly. Woo-hoo-hoo. And that's today. So strap in, guys.
Yep, it's a Beck episode. No, no, it's
No.
it's a Josh and Beck episode because when we do this when we don't have the guest, which is often.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice. I
Yeah.
like doing this. Although it is a lot more pressure, I will say, doing a video version as well as the.
Well, yeah, because we didn't always do the video version. We would sometimes do. We only did it when we had a guest,
Right.
and then we're like, oh, we need to have more on our YouTube. So that's how some people consume podcasts. Well, then why not?
Yeah, go to where the people are. That's
Hmm.
what's the most important.
Absolutely. So for today's episode, we're going to take you guys back to 2002. Rebecca, what were you doing in 2002?
Ooh, 2002? I was in middle school, I think. Yes, because I was 12.
Yeah.
12
As
at the time.
yeah, I was thir- 13, 14. I was in high school. I know that much.
Oh, really? When did I start high school? I graduated high school 2008. So I guess 2004 or 3. 3 or 4. Either one. I would have started probably 2003. I would have started high school. So yes, I was indeed in middle school in 2002, and I did watch the Wild Thornberries. Oh, did I spoil it? What we're watching?
Rebecca, you
I'm
did.
sorry.
It's okay. Well, today's episode is the Wild Thornberries movie. Now, this came out in 2002. It was a Nickelodeon movie. Before this, they came out with Good Burger, the Hey Arnold movie. Harriet the Spy was another one.
Harriet the Spy was like a long time
There
ago.
was.
That was a that was a live action film, right?
Yes, yes. The only
Okay.
thing I remember about it is Rachel Trachtenberg was Harriet, and Rosie O'Donnell was like the assistant or something.
I do remember Rosie O'Donnell being in there, and the main character wore a yellow coat,
Yes, yes, that was
and
Harriet.
that's the extent, honestly, of what I remember. That was one
And-
of those movies that was at the lake house. So my grandparents had a lake house growing up, And so we would go down there each summer and we would spend a week or so there. It was really fun. Well, they always had like the same movies for like all of the, I don't know, 15 years that we went to this this lake house. They had the same movies. Some of them were unique. Josh would say not great. Like
Napoleon was not.
Napoleon was
It
fantastic,
was not. It
okay?
was not fantastic. They had a bird
Not
called
true.
Birdo, and
Birdo's great.
the
Come
the
on.
Psalms were something else. Now,
They were great. They did what they needed to do while we were there. What's funny, I think Napoleon, also please comment if you've seen Napoleon. It's about this little retriever puppy. Think they're in Australia. This little retriever puppy is at a birthday party, and there's like a basket with a bunch of balloons. He hops into the basket. Somehow this thing comes unloose, and he flies over. I think they were in Sydney, Australia, and flies over into the like, I don't know, some sort of island desert place where they meet all kinds of fantastical creatures. Um, it's really fun. I like it. Maybe that's just because I grew up with it, but they were unique movies that we had at the lake nonetheless. Harriet was one of them. And we never watched it too much, but the other ones we watched like each time coming back. There was what is there? Oh, Rigoletto. That was a great movie as well. We liked that one a lot. Um, a whole bunch. Oh, we pretty much always watched Star Wars when we went. Actually, that's not true. Not always. It was like every other year we would be like, all right, it's time to power through Star Wars while we're here for a week. Let's go. And so that was really fun. Um, so anyway, yeah, wow, we just got off on a huge
yeah,
tangent.
it's all right. It's all good.
Yeah,
It's what we're here for.
that's what we're here for.
But with the Wild Thornberries, for those of you who haven't seen it, it was a series on Nickelodeon, and it's based around this family called the Thornberries. Again, from left to right, we have Marianne, who is the videographer, the wife and mother. So she's the wife of Nigel Thornberry. Oh, Nigel
Nigel.
Thornberry, voiced by Tim Curry, which I shouldn't be too surprised at. And then we had Debbie, the oldest daughter. Eliza Thornberry, who's the main character, she rescued a warthog, and you see this and hear about it in the intro. She rescued a warthog who had to be a shaman. We'll get into that a little bit later. And he gave her powers to be able to communicate and speak with animals. And she is actually voiced by, and I didn't know this till today, she was voiced by Lacey Chabert. She, for those of you who may not know, she voiced this character, Elijah Thornberry. She also briefly voiced Meg on Family Guy. She was the one of the plastics in the movie Mean Girls. Most of you would know Lacey Chabert from that movie, but
She's the
she's
one with the dark curly hair.
yes, yes.
What? Not Ginger. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Well, not her, but
Was it? I thought it was Gretchen.
Gretchen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Gretchen.
yeah.
Yes.
Because
Gretchen was trying to make fetch happen.
yeah, and the only reason I remember is like the Santa Claus comes in. It's like, hey, Candy Grants. It's like, Coco, four for you, Glen Coco. You go, Glen Coco. And none for Gretchen Wieners. But yeah, that's what I remember from. But I digress. Going more through the characters. Below Eliza, we had Donnie and
Donnie.
Becky. There you go. Great impression. That's all he does. He doesn't speak. He just
It just makes weird sounds.
exactly. And
But it's
then
great. I love it.
last one on the right is Darwin, and he
Aptly named
yes,
Darwin.
because he's a very elegant and very cultured chimpanzee. Um, as far as we when we hear him speak. So those are our characters. They are very much throughout the film. Eliza, of course, is the star of this movie. And so the main theme for this one that I chose is family. Now, I know we did a little bit of family when we had when we've done other episodes.
Was it Elizabeth Chaffin?
Yes,
Ian Chaffin?
yes, we did found family.
Yep, with
Um,
Spy Family.
Correct. But this is a little bit different. Again, this is a family that you're born into biologically.
I mean, but I was thinking while we were going through the characters that like Donnie
Oh yeah,
found
yeah, the
them,
correct. And then
and then
Darwin,
Darwin
they found he found yeah,
was one of those. I don't remember.
yeah.
But yeah, so Darwin and Donnie both just came into the family and they're just part of the family now. So you could say found
Right, right,
family.
right, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the thing about family is there's a lot that can be said in spiritual terms. Again, family is a big theme in the Bible, and honoring thy mother and thy father. Again, that's one of the commandments. Training up children, in being the responsibility of parents. Again, we have Proverbs 22:6. Start children off on the way that they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. This is in more terms of Nigel and Marianne trying to raise their daughters, um, on the right path. On the right path. Now again, they're kids. They into mischief. They disobey, but trying to instill in the mic all the time, I guess. Trying to instill, values because in one scene where, so before we get to that, there is a altercation between Eliza, these cheetah cubs, and poachers, and this sets the whole thing off into motion. Unfortunately, one of the cheetah cubs is captured by poachers. Eliza gets on the little rope ladder through the helicopter thing, and she falls onto the combi. Thankfully, that has um,
Like an inflated
like
bed
inflated
thing.
bed thing, yeah. And the grandmother is there. So, oh, does she do this all the time? And what? This is no place to raise a child.
Yeah, she's really, really hard about that. Um, but yeah, so she ends up taking Eliza back to England to go to a boarding school.
Correct.
And Eliza gets there and she's like, I hate this.
Yes.
I need to be back in the the wild in Africa to help Tally, the little cheetah cub that was lost. So she so she makes her way back um, in a very funny series of events. And then she's on her own, basically in the wild, trying to get this cheetah cub back. There's a really special moment though that when so Nigel's parents, both his mom and dad, they come to Africa. They just like parachute out of nowhere. And where did they come from? I don't know. They're kind of crazy. But then again, so is Nigel, so it all makes sense. But they come down and they're trying to get Eliza to come back to England to finish out school, but the Nigel and Marianne finally they reunite and they're all together, and Marianne is like really worried about both of her daughters who are now gone because Debbie went after Eliza. It's a mess. But she was expressing the fear of like how are they gonna survive like out in the jungle on their own. And Nigel's dad, Colonel, they call him. Colonel says, Marianne, I know they're going to be okay because they were raised by you. And it just makes me think of that verse, Josh, that you read just a minute ago, that they taught
Yes.
their kids well,
They did.
very well,
And
except for maybe
Marianne
Debbie.
is very concerned. Rightfully so. And before Colonel says that, it's like, and don't say because they're thornberries.
Yeah.
So I know because they were raised by you. And before that, before Eliza comes back from England, when Marianne is like deciding to let her go with her
Mm,
grandmother um, to boarding school, there's a scene where Marianne and Nigel are going to bed, and she said, when we did this, when we decided to take this adventure on, we agreed not to split the family.
yeah. Yeah, that's what it was such a hard decision for them, but because Eliza was not going to give up because she was their daughter, um, they were like, well, I guess we got to send her off because she's just not going to give up. And they were right. Even sending her to boarding school, she was not going to give up. Um, but yeah, there was the she believes in it follows through in what she believes. That's very commendable of Eliza.
And
I just love the Thornberries. They're great.
and Liza has such compassion and
Mhm.
such a loving nature towards animals. Again, she was given this power for a reason, to help and communicate and get intel from animals. Again, sounds a little bit weird, but that's what
Well,
happens.
I think it's to learn from them, to be with them. It's sort of an idea of like, I don't know, being one with nature and understanding how the animals feel, what do they think about. Being able to communicate with them is a part of that. And as we find out later, she was only able to succeed with the like big plot at the end because she had communicated with the animals. So the big plot at the end is that the poachers are okay. Backing up here, if it's been a while since you've watched the movie, um, the there's an eclipse that's coming, and every eclipse that happens in that area of the world, all of the uh, elephants come to this one particular valley when there's an eclipse, and I don't know, commune with each other. They hang out, I guess, for a while, but nobody knows why they do it, and so. Um, and so the poachers find out about this and they put up this electric fence and they want to try to funnel all of the a- my brain, oh my goodness, the elephants. They want to funnel all the elephants towards this electric fence so that they will all die and be electrocuted. And so Eliza's like, this is not happening under my watch.
Yeah, but before we find out who these poachers are, they actually kind of like are like disguised or portray themselves as
The
uh
good
yeah,
guys.
the good guys. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Rude. They are not the good guys.
No, they're not.
They're the bad guys.
Yeah,
Like the Billie Eilish song. I'm the bad guy. Yeah,
yeah,
good
they're
song.
like, oh yeah, we're wildlife. And so my wife, Bree, she's
Oh, a
a
veterinarian.
veterinarian.
Psh,
Sloan is
maybe, maybe not.
yeah,
I don't know. That's
no,
their cover anyway.
exactly. And because they're traveling with Eliza and keeping her, safe and whatnot. Um,
Somewhat.
yeah, somewhat.
They make her sleep outside.
Yeah.
When they sleep inside,
Well,
like
because
no tent, no
well,
nothing.
because
I
otherwise
don't know.
she's gonna see, what she ultimately sees.
Yeah, which is that they are the poachers.
Yes, and that scene, I don't know,
Deception.
it's kind of emotional for me a little bit because Debbie, goes out to find her,
Oh my gosh, yes,
and
that scene.
yeah, whew, yeah, that's the scene. So in this scene, we have, as we explained a little bit before, we had Debbie who has come to rescue Eliza, or at least find her. She doesn't know that she's in any danger. Eliza has just found out that Bree and Sloan are poachers, and she sees Tally, and he says, we gotta get away from here, and like these are bad people, and they realize that they're gonna they'll plan that good nation beforehand to like kill these elephants so that they can get their tusk and they make a profit out of all of it. And Liza doesn't take that too well, as you can see. But she values and loves her sister so much that she had to tell her a secret. I mean, if I was in that situation, I couldn't see any other way to do that.
Yeah, it's either talking to animals or saving your sister. I would definitely choose to save my sisters. Absolutely. Every time.
And that kind of brings me to another verse that I have, which is from 1 John 4:10. We love because he first loved us, and that kind of brings us all back into the whole main theme of family. Like, not just family, but Eliza has a love for Darwin. She has a love
Yeah.
for other animals, and
Yeah, she stopped at
yeah,
nothing to
nothing.
get Tally back.
Yes.
So it
Well,
took her
because
forever.
she made a commitment to the mother that, hey,
Well,
nothing's gonna happen. I'll be watching them, and then unfortunately that happened with the poachers.
yep.
But another thing I want to kind of touch on is going away from family a little bit is our other theme, our spiritual theme, which is shaman and
Shamanism,
and
yes.
nature. So, for those of you who don't know what a shaman is, definition of a shaman is a person who is regarded as having access to influence in the world of good and evil spirits, so kind of nature and the good and evil and negative energy going around. Typically, what they'll do is they'll do a chant, they'll do a trance, any type of ritual. Or practice that's like a divinity.
Divination.
Yes, that one. Um, and it's supposed to be mostly for like healing. I know that we actually had a shaman shop here in Tennessee. Um,
Close to where we live, right?
yeah, well, not anymore. It closed down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was there because I'd never seen it before.
I'm surprised that it was, where we are in Tennessee that it existed. I would not be surprised though if there were shops like that in Colorado or Arizona or other places like that. It seems to be very popular in those areas. Or even, I think when we were in Blue Ridge, Tennessee, there was quite a bit. Tennessee? No, Georgia. Blue Ridge, Georgia. Sorry. When we were there, there was quite a bit of that sort of same shamanism, um,
Yeah,
use of
yeah. I was
crystals,
about to say there was a
dream
whole shop and
catchers.
crystals and
Yeah, that all falls into
yeah,
kind of that new age
right.
thing.
And on the surface, it doesn't, seem like much, but people use crystals because they believe that crystals have, healing powers against all sort of that new age stuff. And shamanism is a whole other game in and of itself.
Mhm.
Um, but and dream catchers, again, we all had them, maybe as kids because they were
Yeah,
like
growing up.
fun little craft things. But
The
again,
agents
that's
of evil.
that.
I mean,
Now
in all
I'm not
seriousness,
saying that
though.
if you have a dream catcher that it's possessed or anything. If you have one and you want to
No.
keep it, fine, keep it as decoration, whatever. But just understand that if you take it seriously, you may want to kind of
Might want to stay away from that.
yeah, research it, but you may want to steer clear of it if you're using it for healing or spiritual practices.
Yeah, because that can get really dangerous really quickly and go into the realm of witchcraft. It, excuse me, you want to be really careful of that. It can take you down a deep dark path really quickly. Oh yeah, a lot of new age practices have to do with shamanism. Um, I think of um, like Australian, the native Australian people that were there. I don't know like the name of they were tribes, I think, but they would do something called a walkabout, and that kind of fits in with the whole shamanism thing. It's a figuring out your purpose, who you are. That would be a walkabout, but you have like very little food. Shamans, from my understanding, they use a lot of herbs and
Right, right.
plants and things that have halluc- hallucinative.
Hallucinogens.
Sure, yeah, they make you hallucinate. Um, and they use a lot of that kind of stuff, and it reminds me too, actually, of Teal Swan,
Oh
the that
yeah,
documentary we watched.
that is something else.
That
Yeah,
was fascinating. That was on Hulu, right? Is that
yeah.
on
There
Hulu?
was another one. It's called like Stolen Youth, which is also that occult.
Oh.
There's a lot of cult ones. I need to watch them.
They're really interesting. I think cults are fascinating. Teal Swan was interesting though, because she was using a lot of these like shaman, new agey rituals. One of the things that they did to like purify, to cleanse and purify was to drink or inject in some way the saliva of a toad or something. This like special toad. Do you remember this? And
Yeah.
then it would make them like vomit and like
Yes. 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 Yes.
hallucinate
Yeah.
and go through
Yes.
this
Yes. Yes. Yes.
whole ritual thing. Um, and this is dangerous. That's dangerous to go and do
Yeah,
all of that.
it can be, yes. So,
Um, and there's a
we'll
guy,
beware of that.
yeah, be on the lookout. There's a guy I used to follow quite a bit, but I
Oh
don't so
yeah,
much
Dave
anymore.
Asprey.
Yeah, Dave
Now,
Asprey with
Bulletproof.
Bulletproof.
Now, many of you um may know Bulletproof. Dave Asprey did a bunch of books, the Bulletproof Diet, Game Changer, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Products had no issue with, but his philosophies,
And his spiritual
spiritual,
things, yeah.
not so much.
Well, it's interesting to me to hear what he thinks and what
Oh yeah,
he has done in his life,
right.
um, to just hear what all is going on, and what he believes. I find that really interesting. Particularly, I mean, I am really interested in New Age and in the shamanism and all of this, and I don't practice any of that, but it's interesting. Um, because at one time I was more in the direction of New Age, actually, masking itself as Christianity. And thankfully, I wasn't like super, super deep in it, but enough to where I needed some cleansing from all of that and refreshing of my mind from all of those thoughts. But yeah, it's really interesting. Dave Asprey has a book called Fast This Way, where he talks a lot about his spiritual journey. And I find that really interesting. I find it interesting for two reasons. One, to hear his experience of what happened. He goes on this like cave experience where he fasted for a long time, and I don't think there were herbs involved. I don't know. I know it was like in a very secluded place, and there was a shaman who was watching over the whole experience, but they were like completely cut off from all communication with everyone. And so that was part of the book. But then the other part of the book was what happens to your body, like physically, scientifically, when you fast. And I was very interested in this because, as a spiritual practice, from Christianity's standpoint, it talks a lot about fasting. Why is it good? Why do we do it? And I thought it was really interesting to hear from that scientific perspective, um, what what happens to your body. So if you're interested in hearing a different perspective, and I think we can trust the science of what happens to your body, but if you're interested in that, it was a pretty good book. I really liked it. Again, it was more of like an academic side from looking at the spiritual aspect of it.
most definitely. Um, and going back to one last thing about shamanism. So Shaman Ninyambo is who we see in this movie. We don't see him until the very end. His character design, I don't have a picture from the series, but it's vastly different than what is in the movie.
Oh, really?
In the series, I think it's a episode called "Gift of the Gab," is where,
How do you
um,
just know this stuff?
well, I actually think it's because I watched it recently on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Um, so shows the origin story, if you will, of how Eliza, got her powers and everything. But how they present it is it's like this short little stubby dude. It's not this, great big guy as they have in this photo. But he's not seen until basically the very end, where Eliza is trying to save the elephants, and Sloane, one of the pushers, throws her into this river, and Shaman Mignano holds out a stick, and she grabs onto it, pulls her out of the water, and she said, I'm so sorry I told my secret. It's like, I know you had to save your sister, and it's like, I don't know how I could save them. It's like you saved all those animals with without your power.
Mm.
You're destined for an even greater purpose than even I've seen. So that's why I'm going to give you back your powers.
Yeah.
So
And how
somebody,
often
yeah,
we believe that we are only what we can do,
right.
and we can do
So
so much
correct.
more.
Like our certain abilities, like our talents or whatever, what if all those were stripped away? Like Eliza's power was taken from her because like she broke the rules. Um, if you have strength, what if you lost that strength? Or if you're a runner and unfortunately through some event you lost your legs. So redefining your purpose and also redefining your self worth. Again, self worth comes from God, not from your job, your abilities, or God alone. Again, He gives you talents and abilities, and He wants you to use them to bring people to His kingdom.
Have you struggled with this, Josh?
Yes, yes, I have. Many Anybody who knows me well will tell you that I pride myself in a job well done, and many times when I make a mistake or I do the shoulda, coulda, wouldas all day, um, which is not productive, believe me. um, but I have put myself worth often in my job and my ability to do my job well. Um, Trying to get better at that, trying to speak with wise counsel and some guy friends about that, just to, help hone that in so that I'm not, always putting my self worth or my identity in my job, which is so easy to do. Um,
Particularly as a guy.
yeah,
And I don't even
because
fully understand it, but I do know that's easy.
we're meant to be the providers, and if we don't have a job, then what am I? Um, but yeah, so I've struggled with it a bit. I'm trying to get better, but work in progress.
Absolutely.
But going further into the Wild Thornberries, I just love it's an oldie but a goodie, and you can tell the animation is what it was for the time.
It's
Uh,
still pretty good.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
definitely a style. Definitely the like Nickelodeon style. But but yeah, it was good.
yeah, absolutely. So with this being um kind of like the next to last episode of this month of February, um, we know Valentine's Day was this past Tuesday, and Beck and I we actually celebrated Valentine's a little bit early. Becca, what did I know what we did? I want you to tell our viewers what we
I
did.
was about to say, I hope you remember what we did.
But before we get to that, we would definitely recommend Wild Thornberries. Only an hour and 25 minutes, so not even an hour and a half. Then we
It's such a
have
good feel good movie. I
yes,
like it a
definitely a
lot.
good feel good. It's on HBO Max. I think it's also on Paramount Plus because they have all the Nickelodeon and Viacom networks. You could probably buy or rent it on Prime Video or even Apple. But certainly a feel good movie. Take a movie night. If you have young children or if you're big kids like us, then do that. But going back to Valentine's, since we're gonna go with the verse, we love, since he loved us first, the verse in First John. Um, Rebecca, tell people what we did for Valentine's. It was very low key, by the way.
It was. It was very low key. So I actually went to Aldi. They've got a great selection of different sort of fancy cheeses and meats and things. And I ended up making two different charcuterie boards. I made sort of a dessert charcuterie board, got some chocolate hummus, which if you've never had chocolate hummus, it's actually really good. Um, you can feel a little bit healthier about yourself. Um, because it's got a little bit of chickpeas in there, so that's good. A little bit of protein. So we had that with some pineapples, and I had some little like crackers with chocolate, and oh my, they were really good. And then of course we did the like cheese and baked brie, and oh my gosh, if you guys haven't had goat cheese that's wrapped in the is it like blueberry stuff, it's so good, so good. So anyway, I got a bunch of stuff for charcuterie boards and a couple bottles of wine, and we only had like one bottle of wine between the two of us, just so you know. And Aldi's wine, the like cheap wine,
Yeah, the winking
the
owl.
winking owl, it's like less of a percentage of alcohol anyway. But yeah, so we munched on that all night and hung out. We watched a movie and just spent some really good quality time together.
We
So
we danced in the kitchen too.
we did. Yes, we did dance in the kitchen. I forgot about that. It was really fun.
It was a lot of fun. Just a good quality time and just spend it with you, which I always enjoy. There was good food. Yeah, the chocolate hummus. Didn't know that I would like it, but I actually enjoyed it, so I was very surprised.
Yeah, it was definitely surprising, but I was like, you know what? When are we ever going to try this? Like, we should try this now. So I'm
And
glad we
side
did.
note, Aldi for the win. We've been shopping there recently, and
We have.
definitely recommend it. They got great prices, and I'm sorry to hear the dog in the background.
I think Ginger's thirsty.
Yeah. So this
I guess it's time to wrap up.
probably time to wrap up here. Well, we thank all of you for joining us this week and every week if you are a subscriber. Again, more videos like this, and we're gonna keep it coming. Well, we've got to get our talks in water. We hope you have had a great week. We hope you have had a wonderful Valentine's Day for those of you who celebrated. Until next time, keep those halos shiny and stay holy, my friends. And word from Ginger, stay hydrated. So see you guys.
Bye.